Hey there, fellow listeners. Welcome to Red Hunt, where we embark on thrilling adventures exploring real-life relationship stories from the vast corners of Reddit. I'm your host, Red, and get ready to dive into the roller coaster of emotions as we uncover tales of love, heartbreak, and everything in between. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our incredible community of relationship enthusiasts. Am I the antagonist? My boyfriend's dad says horribly offensive stuff in front of my kids and we had a blowout because of it. I honestly can't tell if I'm overreacting or not, but here goes. I have two kids, a 7-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy. Recently I've started introducing them to my boyfriend's parents. Now, my boyfriend's dad has no filter. He says whatever comes to mind without considering the consequences. They were over at our house yesterday, and we were sitting at the kitchen table with my daughter before we left for dinner at a restaurant. He was saying extremely offensive things, racist, homophobic, and sexist jokes. He used every swear word imaginable, including the N-word. My boyfriend was laughing, swearing, and going along with it. I ended up taking my daughter out of the room and keeping her busy until it was time to go out to eat. When we got to the restaurant, he openly mocked my 9-year-old son. He told him he looked like a girl because of his long hair and made jokes about him wearing a sports bra. He also made jokes about my daughter playing hockey and expressed his belief that girls can't play sports. Everyone, except for me, my son and daughter, found it funny. I desperately tried to make comments to diffuse the situation. At one point, he even asked me to describe how attractive a woman's posterior was in a story. The offensive behavior continued throughout the evening. I couldn't sleep all night when I got home. I'm so angry at myself for not calling out his behavior or saying something while it was happening. I texted my boyfriend, telling him that from now on I will keep the kids away from his family's activities. It's not my style, and I don't want the kids exposed to it. This led to a huge fight. He claims that his dad is just being himself, that he means no harm, and that it is my responsibility to teach the kids that different people exist and that they will encounter such individuals. He believes they need to learn that this is how some people are and we should accept it. I disagree. I firmly believe that it's my job to protect my kids and show my daughter that she doesn't have to tolerate offensive remarks from creepy old men in order to avoid making people uncomfortable. I don't think my son should have to endure a grown man making jokes at his expense while adults laugh, knowing he can't defend himself. I asked my boyfriend why he isn't as furious as I am about his dad freely making such offensive comments around children. Why isn't he angry that his dad is making inappropriate sexual comments about his son's girlfriend? I expressed my view that any adult who says such disgusting things around young children is a terrible person. I understand that it's difficult for my boyfriend to feel like I'm attacking his dad, but this situation makes me incredibly angry, and I truly think his dad's behavior is repulsive. I would greatly appreciate any advice or opinions. This issue is pushing us to the brink of breaking up. What should I do? Wow, that sounds like an incredibly tough situation to be in, and I can totally understand why you're so upset. It's completely unacceptable for someone to spew such hateful and offensive things, especially around children. It seems like your boyfriend's lack of action and defense of his father's behavior is also a red flag. You're right to prioritize the well-being and safety of your kids, and if he can't see that, then maybe breaking up is for the best. It turns out I'm basically a carbon copy of my BF's mom. Sorry for the long rant, but I feel lost and unsure of what to do. Too long didn't read, TLDR at the end. I have been dating my boyfriend Brian for about 5 months now. He shared with me that his mom, who passed away in a house fire when he was 13, and it has been a traumatic experience for him. I haven't asked for more details out of respect for his privacy. The fire also destroyed most of their photos since his mom wasn't fond of taking them. After his mom passed, his dad essentially abandoned the family, and his younger brother Sam, 19 is the only family member with whom he has a good, consistent relationship. Sam recently went on a road trip and has now started college at our university for the spring semester. I had only seen Sam in pictures until recently because Brian always mentioned how busy he was. However, since Sam needed a place to stay, Brian offered to let him stay at his apartment until he finds a different solution. A couple of weeks before Christmas, Sam arrived, and that's when I finally had the chance to meet him in person. During a dinner together, something felt off. Sam kept glancing at me while Brian was asking him about his trip. Trying to lighten the mood, I made a joke about how similar they looked, like clones of each other. Brian laughed and said they're clones of their dad. Sam awkwardly chuckled and unexpectedly blurted out how much I look like their mom. This comment stunned Brian for a few seconds before he laughed it off, saying that just because I have a similar hair and eye color doesn't mean I'm her clone. Sam continued pushing the topic and pointed out my facial features that matched their mom. Although we moved on from it, Sam still seemed weirded out. I assumed it was probably due to nervousness about starting college. A few days later, Sam texted me a picture that someone from their distant family had sent him. It was an old photo of their mom, and I was shocked to see that she looked almost identical to me. From her smile to her hairstyle, we could pass as twins. It's not just similarity, it's an exact copy. I know we're not related because I know all my family members, but this resemblance is uncanny. I read somewhere that statistically, a person usually has around 5 identical lookalikes on Earth. I didn't fully believe it until now. I just feel incredibly unlucky. What if this is the sole reason he started dating me? Sam apologized for his previous weird behavior and hoped I could understand why. Although it was strange, I didn't know what to say. I responded by saying it was nice. He found a surviving photo. Sam and Brian don't resemble her, so they must take after their dad. Brian didn't text me until we met later for a movie date. During our conversation, I casually mentioned the photo and how we looked alike. Brian laughed and said Sam showed him too, mentioning that it had been so long since he had seen her face. I could have ignored this weird coincidence since I can't fully comprehend his grief. However, his escalating behavior since then has started to unsettle me. Starting before Christmas, he began sharing everything about his mom with me. At first, I felt touched that he felt comfortable opening up to me, but soon it became uncomfortable. He mentioned that her major in college was the same as mine and talked about it for a while. That, in itself, was okay, but then it got strange. He mentioned that what attracted him to me initially was my hair, which I often wear in braids, just like his mom used to. He also started pointing out our similar taste in clothes, disregarding the generational gap. He even showed me an online shopping page with clothes similar to what she used to wear, insisting that I start wearing them around him. When I mentioned being unable to afford new clothes, he offered to pay for them. He also shared childhood stories but kept emphasizing how similar our mannerisms were and how I sometimes reminded him of her. Brian does most of these things when we're alone, but Sam has definitely noticed. He seems spooked and is now making plans to move in earlier than expected. I understand that he loved his mom deeply and is grieving, but all these comparisons make me uncomfortable. I don't know how to address this issue. The strangest part is that he never revealed anything about her until I mentioned seeing the photo. Why? I talked to my mom about it, but she brushed it off, saying I was being overdramatic. She believes that since Brian is a good guy going through the loss of his mom, it makes sense that he talks about her frequently. Even a couple of my friends said the same thing after seeing the photo. However, my sister's reaction changed once she saw the picture. She got creeped out and mentioned how Sigmund Freud would be happy about this situation. She used the metaphor incorrectly, but I think she meant it affirmatively. In less than a month, his behavior has escalated to the point where I worry about what might come next. He's not acting like himself. I've never dealt with something like this before, and I'm unsure if I'm just overthinking it. Perhaps he is simply opening up, and I'm being paranoid. It's all incredibly bizarre and messed up. I don't want to hurt his feelings. Does anyone have any advice? I mean, what the hell? Wow, that is definitely a strange situation. It must be really uncomfortable for you to feel like your boyfriend is trying to mold you into his deceased mother. It's understandable that he's grieving and wants to connect with his mom's memory, but this seems to be crossing some boundaries. Maybe try having a calm and honest conversation with him about how this is making you feel, and see if you can find a compromise or solution together. Is my girlfriend lying and cheating? My girlfriend and I have been together for 4 months now. We've known each other for almost 10 years, but we recently decided to give our relationship a chance. So far, the relationship has been great, and we both feel extremely happy. However, I have some suspicions that she might be lying to me and potentially cheating. Before we got together, she was in a long-term relationship that ended in the beginning of last year. After taking some time to gather herself and learn how to be alone, she entered into a friends with benefits relationship with a married man who is much older. She shared this information with me in the beginning of our relationship because we value open communication, and she wanted to address any potential issues. She has expressed regret for this choice, stating that it was out of character for her, but she did it as it seemed like the easiest option at the time. She didn't want anything serious, and she knew the man felt the same way. Moreover, since she wasn't the first person he had an affair with, she didn't feel responsible for breaking up his family. During our discussion, she informed me that she had texted him on Viber after the first day or night we spent together, ending their relationship. They had agreed from the beginning that if she found someone she wanted to be with, everything between them would end. Curious about this, I asked to see the message. However, she had deleted the conversation to spare me any negative feelings that might arise if I saw it when she opened Viber. The issue arose when she typed the man's number in a new chat, and his chat appeared on the front page of recent messages with a different date. Although the chat was empty, the date indicated that it was a week after we started dating. She swore that she didn't know why this happened and assured me that neither of them had texted each other. Around Christmas, I expressed my ongoing concern about the date discrepancy. I asked to see it again, and this time, the date was around a week before Christmas. Once again, she insisted that she didn't know why this was happening and that they hadn't been in contact since 2 weeks after we began dating. We even considered the possibility that it was an issue with Viber, since she uses Android. To test this, we deleted 2 random chats from months ago, and upon adding them back as new chats, they reappeared with the same date as before deletion. However, only the man's chat seemed to have its date changed magically. I also attempted this on my iPhone, and the deleted chats reappeared at the top of recent chats with the exact time they were added, most recent. We had a more detailed conversation about their relationship and what had transpired between them. She further assured me that there were never any feelings involved. She had planned on ending things with him, and they hadn't been intimate for a month before we started dating. At least, That's what she claims. She said she consistently declined his advances, but hadn't officially ended things for an unknown reason. In my mind, it seemed like she was leaving the door open for herself, in case she didn't find someone else and needed validation or sex again. As a result, I'm left wondering if she's being truthful and whether he actually texted her on those dates, or possibly others. In the best-case scenario, he texted her. She deleted the messages immediately to avoid worrying me, and we don't need to discuss it further. However, in the worst-case scenario, something suspicious is happening behind my back. Has anyone had a similar experience with Viber or Android? Is there a logical explanation, or am I being lied to? It's definitely concerning that the dates on the deleted chats keep changing, and I can understand why you're feeling suspicious. However, it's important to remember that there could be other explanations for this inconsistency, as technology can be wonky sometimes. Have an open and honest conversation with your girlfriend about your concerns, and see if you can find a resolution that will put your mind at ease. Trust and communication are key in any relationship, so make sure you both feel comfortable discussing these issues. My hoarding entitled, Grandmother Refuses to Leave House. I want to share my experience living with my difficult grandmother. She moved in around 6 years ago after her roof was damaged by a hurricane. Initially, she was only supposed to stay for a couple of months while we fixed her roof, and she recovered from surgery. However, she ended up staying longer and it became challenging to live with her. When she moved in, she only had a basket of clothes and a suitcase. We thought she brought the suitcase because she traveled a lot for her singing career. Looking back, she was probably planning to move in with us all along. She started taking over my brother's room, which quickly became cramped due to her love for shopping and buying unnecessary items. She has an excessive amount of clothes and shoes that she never wears but refuses to get rid of. She even rented a storage garage just to fit more useless things. Later, when my brother wanted to move back in, she got upset and asked why he was coming back and where she would stay. My mom suggested she go back to her own house since her arm had healed and she had money from her tours. However, she lied and said she didn't have enough money to move out. In reality, she earned a lot from her performances and even bragged about it on Facebook. She started living in my mom's hobby room, which my mom needed for her work as a content creator. Now my mom is miserable because she has given up her own space for my grandmother, and the room is a mess. There are many other things my grandmother does that make living with her unbearable. She hoards things, making it difficult to move around and causing a rotting smell in her room. She only showers once a month and makes strange noises while doing so. She also takes over the restroom at night, and it can be quite disturbing to hear. She constantly listens to everything and eavesdrops on private conversations. She knows when my mom moves around, and she even knows our conversations with our mother. It's like having a roommate who invades your privacy. She is also selfish when it comes to cooking, eating most of the food and cooking only for herself. Whenever we try to talk to her about fixing up her own house or moving back, she makes excuses or claims to be sick. She fakes illnesses when we discuss these topics, using it as a way to avoid the conversation. We've tried suggesting apartments or living with someone else, but she always finds a way to resist or complain about it. Unfortunately, she is also not a good mother or pet owner. She treated my mom poorly when she was a child, always prioritizing herself and neglecting her children's needs. She even abused my mother. She also mistreated her pets, getting rid of them once they grew old and resenting them. She insults and degrades people, particularly those who are overweight, despite gaining weight herself. She is bigoted and makes fun of others' appearances while not looking good herself. She is just overall mean and seems to enjoy causing others pain. Living with my grandmother has been a nightmare. She is entitled, selfish, and a hoarder. She expects special treatment while treating others like props. I would strongly advise against letting her move in with you, as it has been a regretful experience for us. Wow, your grandmother sounds like a nightmare to live with. It's crazy how she manipulated her way into your mom's hobby room and turned it into a hoarder's paradise. And the fact that she listens in on every conversation and tries to control everything is just beyond annoying. You have my sympathies. I hope you find a way to get her out of your house soon. My GF said that I am not the one she sees herself being with long term. Should I end our relationship? We have been in a long-distance relationship for about 6 months. We see each other every weekend, and it is always a fantastic time. We have even gone on 2 one-week-long trips together. The only issue is that she is American, and I am Canadian, which makes it difficult for us to experience living together. We were considering moving in together as she wants to get away from her parents, but the immigration process to the United States for me is extremely challenging. She has zero interest in living in Canada. The main issue started last week on Thursday. She grew up in an abusive household and finally decided to look into therapy. Last week, she attended her first therapy session. After the therapy session, she called me to explain that her therapist told her that our relationship was not going to work out because of the differences in our nationalities. The therapist also said that I was only her first boyfriend and that there would be plenty of others in her life, so she shouldn't settle with just one. I agreed that it was fair for her therapist to think that, but we didn't have any relationship issues. So why would we end a perfectly healthy relationship if we both make each other happy? She argued that maybe her therapist was right and that she needed more experience before committing to a relationship. I expressed that I thought that was silly. If we love each other like we both claim, why would either of us need more experience? I've only been in a relationship with one girl, and that was when I was 13, 17. She told me she wanted to see me to see if she was just overthinking. We saw each other this past weekend, and everything was great. She told me she didn't mean anything she said and that she loved me very much. She also mentioned feeling anxious when we are apart. I reassured her that it was no big deal and that I loved her as well. However, the main issue arose when I went home this week to work my job. Around Tuesday, she messaged me claiming that maybe her therapist was right and that we aren't meant to be. She went to another therapy session this past Wednesday. Now, her therapist apparently gave her different advice and suggested that we try an open relationship and stay together if we aren't having any relationship issues. I immediately expressed my disinterest in an open relationship, which she agreed with. Her therapist also mentioned the possibility of me being controlling in the future, based on what my girlfriend had shared about my father being an extreme control freak. I've made it clear that I do not want to be anything like my father and have attended therapy sessions myself to address childhood issues. Her therapist also suggested that I'm too nice, and that's why she doesn't want to break up with me. I asked her if I had done anything wrong, and she told me that I was perfect and hadn't done anything. Once again, I told her that if she thought we should break up, she could, and I disagreed with anything her therapist told her but respected her feelings. She also mentioned wanting to see me again this weekend to confirm if her feelings were still valid. Additionally, a man she had a strictly sexual relationship with before we got together has recently been messaging her. She said she would block him if it made me uncomfortable. When I expressed slight anxiety about it, she brought up the idea that maybe her therapist was right and I was controlling. I brushed it off. We also have different ideas of what constitutes cheating. At the beginning of our relationship, I mentioned that talking to someone sexually, even if you don't plan on meeting them, is considered cheating as much as having physical sex. She disagreed and said it shouldn't matter. I've been told this is a red flag, but I ignored it, thinking she was just inexperienced in relationships. Throughout all these discussions, neither of us has been mean or yelled at each other. Overall, we've been pretty mature in handling it, disregarding the context of the situation. This has been emotionally draining for me, and I truly don't know what to do. Most people would suggest ending the relationship, but I am hesitant because things were going well before last week. It's also upsetting considering the thoughtful gift she gave me for New Year's, a scrapbook with everything we did together in 2023, including receipts, movie tickets, and pictures, with a section titled 2024. It's the sweetest and most thoughtful gift I've ever received. I am seeking advice on what I should do, or if anyone thinks I did anything wrong to cause this sudden change in our relationship. I'm willing to answer questions to find solutions. Feeling constantly worried and thinking about it has made it difficult for me to be motivated to do anything, and it's exhausting. Long-distance relationships can be tough, especially when there are legal barriers involved. It's understandable that her therapist's opinion might have caused some doubt, but it's important to trust each other and communicate openly about your feelings. The fact that she wants to see you again to confirm her feelings shows that she's trying to figure things out, so give her that space and, well, honest with yourself about what you want in a relationship. Would I be the antagonist for banning my in-laws from seeing my baby? I, a 29-year-old female, have a strained relationship with my in-laws. Since I began dating my husband 8 years ago, their involvement in our relationship has been so intense that it feels like I was dating all 4 of them. My husband and I have broken up twice due to their behavior. When I found out I was pregnant for the first time, my sister-in-law advised me to have an abortion, claiming that I was not ready to be a mother. When I disclosed that I could not personally go through with an abortion, she questioned why I even asked her opinion. Furthermore, when I had a miscarriage, she essentially expressed relief. All of them have said hurtful things to me. My mother-in-law, Mill, often reminds me that she had always imagined my husband being with a blonde girl, even though I am Muslim and they are Catholic agnostic. They took pleasure in teasing me about eating bacon, knowing that I avoid pork. Once, in an attempt to make a joke, they tried to force me to eat synthetic bacon, disregarding my clear discomfort and nearly reducing me to tears after I had repeatedly declined. They insisted it was a joke and criticized me for being overly offended, although it wasn't until the 7th time that I became truly offended. They also enjoy monitoring my social media and sending my husband screenshots of me and my gay best friend, insinuating that I am cheating, despite the fact that I publicly post these pictures, which my husband can already see. Now, at 35 weeks pregnant, I want nothing to do with my in-laws. I have completely cut them out of my life because I do not trust them to respect the boundaries I have set. I aspire to raise my child incorporating both Catholic and Muslim beliefs. However, I have no intention of forcing any religion on them, as I genuinely believe that religious beliefs should be a personal choice. When I was younger, I resented my own religion due to my parents' imposition. In the future, I want my child to have the freedom to explore various religious paths, including Catholicism, Islam, or the absence of religious affiliation. However, I doubt that my in-laws would respect my child's half-Muslim identity, given their history of disrespect towards me, in addition to the blonde girl comment. It is crucial to me that we adhere to traditional practices such as baptism and shaving the baby's hair, but I am genuinely fearful that they might take actions like cutting the baby's hair prematurely. Considering the way they have treated me, I do not want them near the hospital when I go into labor. The stress caused by their presence and the memories of the hurtful things they have said to me make me strongly oppose their involvement. I have even pleaded with my husband not to disclose the hospital's location to his parents. I have made it clear that if they show up, he should leave with them. However, my husband believes I am being unreasonable by excluding his parents from the delivery room, arguing that it is his baby too. Even if I did like them, it would be unusual to have them witness the birth. To clarify, I do not intend to keep my child away from them forever. They are, after all, the baby's grandparents. I only wish to maintain distance until my child is capable of standing up for themselves in my absence. Would it make me the wrong one if I firmly hold my ground on this issue? It's completely understandable that you don't want your in-laws involved in the delivery room or in your child's life right now, given their past behavior towards you. Your concerns about them not respecting your boundaries and potentially interfering with important religious traditions are valid. It's important to prioritize your own well-being and your child's well-being, and if that means keeping them at a distance for now, then that's your decision to make. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.